Anatomy and physiology of digestive system. The digestive system is a group of organs that works together to break down food, absorb nutrients, and eliminate waste. It performs mechanical and chemical digestion, absorptions, and excretions. The digestive system divides into two main parts: alimentary canal, digestive tract, a continuous tube from the mouth to the anus. Accessories digestive organs, these helps in digestions, but food does not pass through them. This is the structure of digestive tract. That is oral cavity. After that, esophagus. Then after that, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, liver. So these all things are there of digestive system. Pancreas. So these all things are the structure. Now anatomy of the mouth. Oral cavity. The mouth. Oral cavity is the first part of the digestive system. It is hollow space enclosed by lips, cheeks, palate, and tongue. Main parts: lips, labia, from the opening of the mouth, helps in speech, sucking, and holding foods. Cheeks, from the lateral walls of the mouth, contain mucus buccinator that helps in chewing. Palate, roof of the mouth, that is hard palate, from bony portion, soft palate, back muscular portion ending in the uvula, prevents food from entering the nasal cavity. Another is tongue, muscular organ of the floor of the mouth, covered with taste buds, papillae. Function: taste, chewing, mastication, swallowing, and speech. Teeth, hard structure of cutting and grinding food. Type: incisors, canine, premolars, molars. So this is the structure of the teeth, that is central incisors, canines, second premolars, second molars. Then after that, here, that is lateral incisors, first premolar, first molar, third molar. So these are the structure of the teeth. Now the anatomy of the teeth, structure of the teeth, that is enamel, dentine, pulp, gum, cementum, root canal, root opening, crown, root. So this is the structure of the teeth. Salivary glands produce saliva, which contains the enzyme amylase, that is ptyalin, to start digestion of starch. Major glands: parotid glands in front of the ear, submandibular glands below the jaw, sublingual glands under the tongue. This is the structure of mouth, that is upper lip, superior labial frenulum, that is transverse platen folds, platen raphe, platinoglossal arch, platen tonsils, and fauces, teeth. These are the structures, that is hard palate, soft palate, that is uvula. Another is tongue, lingual frenulum, salivary ducts orifice, inferior labial frenulum, lower lip, teeth, and gingiva. So this is the structure. Now physiology, functions of the mouth, that is ingestion, the process of taking food into the mouth. Mastications: teeth grind food into smaller particles. Tongue and cheek helps mix food with saliva. Secretions of saliva: saliva moisten foods, making it easier to swallow. Contain amylase, which begins digestion of carbohydrate. Taste: Taste bud on the tongue detects sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami taste. That is savory, meaty, or mouth-watering flavor. Swallowing, that is deglutition. The tongue pushes food to the back of the mouth and into the pharynx. Speech, lips, tongue, and palate helps from words and sound. Anatomy of esophagus. The esophagus is muscular tube that connects the pharynx, throat to the stomach and helps transport food and liquids. Location, lies behind the trachea, windpipe, and in front of vertebra column. Extend from the lower border of the cricoid cartilage C6 vertebra to the cardiac opening of the stomach, that is T11 vertebra. Length about 25 centimeter, 10 inch long in adult. Part of the esophagus, it has three parts: cervical parts in the neck behind the trachea, thoracic part in the chest behind the heart, abdominal part, short portion below the diaphragm joining the stomach. Opening, that is in sphincter, that is two sphincter, upper esophageal sphincter UES, formed by the cricopharyngeus muscles, prevent air from entering the esophagus. Lowering esophageal sphincter LES, located at the junctions with the stomach, prevent reflex of stomach contents. So this is the structure of the esophagus. It is 40 centimeter, cervical esophagus, thoracic esophagus, and after that is abdominal esophagus. Layers of esophagus. From inside outward, mucosa, stratified squamous epithelium protect from frictions. Submucosa contain glands that secrete mucus. Muscular externa, upper third skeletal muscles, middle third mixed skeletal and smooth muscles, lower third smooth muscles. Adventitia, that is outer connective tissue covering. So this is the structure, that is layers of esophagus, that is mucosa, that is epithelial lamina propria, muscularis mucosa, another is submucosa, next is muscularis externa, and the outer is adventitia serosa. So this is the adventitia serosa. Physiology of esophagus. Main function: to transport food and liquid from the mouth to the stomach throughout the peristaltic movement. Mechanisms of swallowing: deglutition. Swallowing occurs three phases: oral phase, voluntary. Tongue pushes the food bolus into the pharynx. Pharyngeal phases, involuntary. Soft palate close the nasal passages. Epiglottis close the airway. Food passage into the esophagus. Esophageal phases, that is involuntary. Peristalsis, wave-like muscular contractions pushes food toward the stomach. Lower sphincter, that is relaxes to allow entry. Lower esophageal sphincter relaxes to allow entry to the stomach, that closes to prevent reflux. Lower esophageal sphincter relaxes to allow entry into the stomach, then close to prevent reflux. Nervous control, controlled by vagus nerves, cranial nerves, and enteric nervous system. Sympathetic nerves regulate muscles, tone and blood flow. Anatomy of stomach. Location. The stomach is a J-shaped muscular organ located in upper left part of the abdominal cavity. It lies between the esophagus above and the small intestine duodenum below. Parts of the stomach. Cardiac regions. The area around the opening where the esophagus connect to the stomach. Fundus. The dome-shaped part above the cardiac opening store gases and undigested food. Another is body, corpuscles, the main central region where most digestion occur. Pyloric region, the lower portion that connects to the duodenum. Pyloric antrum, wider part. Pyloric canal, narrow part leading to the pyloric sphincter, which control the emptying to stomach contained into small intestine. So this is the structure of stomach, that is cardia, fundus, greater curvature, body, serosa. This is the layers of the stomach, and after that pyloric antrum, pyloric canal, pyloric sphincter, duodenum, lower esophageal sphincter, lesser curvature, esophagus. This is structure. Stomach wall layers. The wall of the stomach, four main layers. That is first mucosa, innermost layer that secrete mucus, digestive enzymes and gastric acid. Submucosa contains blood vessels, nerves and connective tissue. Muscularis externa, three layers of smooth muscles, outer longitudinal, middle circular, inner oblique. These helps mix and churn the food. Serosa, that is outer covering that protect and reduce friction. So this is the layers, that is outer layer is serosa, then after that is muscularis, then submucosa, mucosa and lumen. Blood supply, arteries, branches of the celiac trunk, left gastric, right gastric and gastroepiploic arteries. Veins drain into the portal vein. Nerve supply, parasympathetic vagus nerves stimulate gastric secretions and motility. Sympathetic fibers inhibit gastric activity. Physiology of the stomach, that is functions. Storage of food, temporarily holds ingested food. Mechanical digestions, churning by muscular contractions, mix food with gastric juice to form chyme. Chemical digestions, enzymes and acid break down proteins. Secretions produce gastric juice containing hydrochloric acid that is kills bacteria and activate enzymes. Pepsinogens, pepsin begins digestion of protein. Mucus protect the stomach lining from acid. Intrinsic factor helps absorb vitamin B12 in the small intestine. Regulated emptying, the pyloric sphincter control the releases of chyme into the duodenum. So this is the structures of the pyloric sphincter, which is between the stomach and duodenum. Digestive process, ingestion food enters stomach, mechanical mixing, muscles churn foods, chemical digestions, pepsin acts on protein, formations of chyme, semi-liquid foods mixture, controlled releases, chyme foods moves to the small intestine for further digestion. Hormonal control, gastrin, a hormone secreted by stomach that increase the acid secretions and gastric motility. Anatomy, physiology of the small intestine. The small intestine is the longest part of the digestive tract where most digestions and absorption of the nutrient take place. Location and length extend from the pyloric sphincter of the stomach to ileocecal wall of the large intestine. Length about 6 meters 20 feet in adults. So that is duodenum 25 centimeters, C-shaped first part connected to stomach, receive bile and pancreatic juice, digest fat, protein and carbohydrates. Jejunum 2.5 meter middle part with many folds and villi, major site of nutrient absorbed. Ileum, that is 3.5 meter, last part of the joins large intestine of ileocecal wall and absorb vitamin B12 and bile salt. So this is the structure of the small intestine, jejunum and ileum. Now, wall structures. The wall of the small intestine has 4 layers. That is mucosa, innermost layer containing villi and microvilli, that is tiny finger-like projections. Increased surface area for absorptions, contain glands that secrete digestive enzymes and mucus. Submucosa contain blood vessels, lymph vessels and nerves. In the duodenum, it has Brunner's gland that secrete alkaline mucus to protect mucosa from acid. Muscularis externa, 2 layers of smooth muscles, inner circular layers, outer longitudinal layers responsible for peristaltic movement. Serosa, thin outer layers, visceral peritoneum providing protection. So this is the structure: mucosa, submucosa, inner circular layer, outer longitudinal layers, serosa. Physiology of the small intestine. Digestive functions. Digestive enzymes from the pancreas and intestine gland act on food chyme, breakdown of food into absorbed molecule, that is carbohydrate to glucose, protein to amino acid, fat to fatty acid and glycerol. Absorption function. Most nutrient absorption occurs here. Villi and microvilli absorb digested nutrient into blood and lymph. Carbohydrate and protein absorbed into blood capillary. Fats absorbed into the lacteals, lymph vessels. Movement, segmentation, mix chyme with digestive juice. Peristalsis propels chyme forward to the large intestine. So this is the peristaltic movement. These all are the peristaltic movement. Secretions. Intestine juice about 2 liters per day contain enzyme such as maltase, sucrose, lactase, digest carbohydrate. Peptidase digest peptides to amino acid. Lipase digest fat. Hormones. The small intestine secrete important digestive hormones. Secrete stimulate pancreatic juice and bile secretions. Cholecystokinin CCK stimulate gallbladder to release bile. Enterokinase activates pancreatic enzymes. Now coming into the anatomy of the large intestine. The large intestine is the final sections of digestive tract. It extends from the ileocecal junctions end of small intestine to the anus. Its main functions are absorptions of water and electrolytes and formations of feces. Parts of the large intestine. The large intestine about 1.5 meter, 5 feet long and divide into the following parts: cecum, first part of the large intestine located in the light lower abdomen. It receives chyme from the ileum through the ileocecal wall. A small worm like tube called is vermiform appendix is attached to it. Colon. The colon is subdivided into four regions. Ascending colon runs upward of the right side. Transverse colon runs across the abdomen. Descending colon runs downwards on the left side. Sigmoid colon, that is S-shaped part leading to rectum. Rectum, located in the pelvic cavity, stored feces before elimination. And anal canal, the terminal part, that is 4 centimeter, open at anus, controlled by internal involuntary and external voluntary anal sphincter. So this is the structure of the large intestine. Right colic, that is hepatic flexure, transverse colon, left colic flexures, that is splenic, then hastra, descending colon, sigmoid flexure, sigmoid colon, rectum, anus, and starting we'll say that is appendix, cecum, ileocecal wall, ileum, and ascending colon and tinea coli. So this is the structure of the large intestine. Histology. The walls of the large intestine has 4 layers: mucosa lined by simple columnar epithelium with globular cell, submucosa connective tissue with blood vessels and lymphatics, muscularis externa, circular and longitudinal smooth muscles. Longitudinal muscles form 3 bands called tinea coli. Serosa, that is outermost layer, that is peritoneum. Layers of the large intestine, that is inner is mucosa, then submucosa, muscularis externa, then outer is serosa. Physiology of the large intestine, that is absorptions, absorb water, electrolyte, and some vitamins, especially vitamin K and B complex, produced by gut bacteria. Secretions. Mucus is secreted by globular cells to lubricate the passage of feces and protect mucosa. Bacterial activity. Large intestine contain normal flora bacteria that ferment undigested carbohydrates, produce vitamin K, vitamin B12, thiamine and riboflavin, decompose bilirubin to give stool in its color. Feces formations. After water absorptions, indigestible material becomes semi-solid feces. Feces are stored in the rectum until defecation. Defecation reflex. When rectum is full, strength receptors triggered reflex. Internal anal sphincter reflexes automatically. Involuntary external sphincter relaxes voluntary to allow defecation. Blood and nerve supplies of the intestine. The intestine, small and large, receive a rich blood supply and nerve supply to support its digestive and absorptive function. Blood supply of the intestine. The intestine are supplied mainly by branches of abdominal aorta through 3 major arteries of the celiac trunks and mesenteric arteries. Small intestine arteries supply duodenum, upper part superior pancreacoduodenal artery and branch of gastroduodenal artery from the celiac trunk. Lower part, that is inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery, branch of superior mesenteric artery. Jejunum and ileum, supplied by jejunal and ileal branches of superior mesenteric artery SMA. These branches form arterial arcades, loops and vasa recta, that is straight vessels supplying the intestinal wall. Venous drainage. Venous veins allows the arteries and drained into the superior mesenteric vein SMV. The SMV joins the splenic vein to form the portal vein, which carries nutrient-rich blood to liver for processing. Large intestine, arterial supply, proximal portion up to the mid-transverse colon, supplied by branches of the superior mesenteric artery SMV, that is ileocolic artery, right colic artery, middle colic artery. Distal portion from mid-transverse colon to rectum, supplied by branches of the inferior mesenteric artery IMA, left colic artery, sigmoid arteries, superior rectal artery. Venous drainage. Veins correspond to arteries and drain into the superior mesenteric vein, joins splenic vein, portal vein. Inferior mesenteric vein drains into the splenic vein, portal vein. So this is the blood supply into the intestine, that is splenic vein, superior mesenteric artery, inferior mesenteric vein, aorta, hepatic portal vein. These all are the superior mesenteric vein, inferior vena cava. These all are the arteries and vein supply of the large intestine. Sigmoid arteries, inferior mesenteric arteries, these all things are there. These are the blood supply, that is middle colic artery, right colic artery, ileocolic artery, inferior mesenteric artery, these all are there. So nerve supply of the intestine. The intestine has both autonomic, involuntary and enteric, that is intrinsic nerve supply. Autonomic nervous system. Sympathetic nerves origin thoracic and lumbar spinal segment, that is T5 and L2. Functions: inhibit peristaltic and secretions, contracts sphincters, reduce blood flow. Pathway: nerves reaches intestine through celiac, superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric plexus. Parasympathetic nerves origin vagus nerves, supplies up to the transverse colon. Pelvic splenic nerves, that is supply descending colon, sigmoid colon and rectum. Functions: stimulate peristalsis and secretions, relaxes sphincter. Enteric nervous system, that is intrinsic control. The enteric nervous system ENS is a network of nerves within the intestinal wall that can function independently. Two main plexus: mesenteric plexus between muscles layers, control motility, movement. Submucosal plexus in the submucosa, control secretions and blood flow. So these are the nerve supplies into the intestinal area: prevertebral ganglia, celiac, superior mesenteric and inferior mesenteric. And another is parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic nerves. These all are works into the intestinal area, and the nerves, it will be comes between T5 and L1. So thank you. Please like and subscribe my channel.